It's the Sod Pod, brought to you by Grassland Agro. The Sod Pod. Hello, and welcome to the Sod Pod. This is our season finale. What a long year in farming, but most enjoyable too. Look, for every problem that pops out, there's always a solution. This is actually the 26th episode of this season, our second season. We had a bonus episode, which was at the National Ploughing Championship. Our normal season will be a 25-episoder. Now, what we're going to do, let's have a look back at the year, but a year in review of the Sod Pod. There was some great episodes. There were some dodgy ones as well, lads. Let's be very honest. I'm here with Eoin, Lauren and Edward. But Edward, I'm going to tell you the episode I enjoyed the most, and I'm going to make you talk about it. MC Milking It, good friend of yours. What a great episode.
Yeah, it was a great episode. Myself, Lauren and Claire actually went down to visit Mark today. And to be fair, we had a great time down there. Very interesting guy. I'd know him quite well because he'd be best friends with my brother. Lauren actually know him quite well as well because the two of them were in college together. It was something completely different for me. I suppose Mark, as most people will know, as MC Milking It, is maybe he doesn't like to be called this, but he'd be a farming influencer.
The dreaded word.
Yeah. Maybe he considers himself as more of a lecturer. I don't know, but it was very interesting. The guy has 10,000 plus followers. You know, he's also milking a big herd of cows there, 400 cows. It was great to see how guys like that are trying to promote a real farming image. Mm-hmm. And I know just from talking to lads around the place that episode is one that kind of sticks in guys' heads because I suppose Mark could have a big following out there. A lot of people listen to the Sod Pod, and I think a lot of people actually got a lot from listening to the Sod Pod, and hopefully it brought Mark a bit of traction online as well. There's a couple of standout things in there, and I'm sure you'll be able to tell me yourself there, James, what you thought was a standout part of that Sod Pod. But I think even the fact Mark mentioned to us at one stage that his neighbours who he meets on the road every day that generally wouldn't have had a much of an idea what was going on the farm are stopping him now and asking questions about the videos, that he's putting up. Not out of any malice now, out of pure interest as to why this has to go on a farm. Or I think it's great. And that was one of my standouts as well for the year.
And he was a great Tipperary man. I think the record should show that. A very, very proud Tipperary man. Some would say the farming centre of the world. But yeah, I really loved that part as well. How he was educating his neighbour, and they were stopping going, I didn't realise that's what you were at. Because I think that's the biggest win we've seen. Obviously, there's always pressures on farming. And of course, we're seeing some climate pressures coming on us as well. And for people like Mark to be out showing animal health and animal welfare, the things we're doing to, I suppose, a great step as we always, the custodians of the land and nurturing nature out there. So I just think it's an absolute brilliant way that if someone is curious about what's happening in farming and they want to take one message that farming is bad, it's people like Mark and some of the other great people around the country and around the world showing us the power that is farming and what it's doing to look after Mother Earth itself.
Absolutely. No, like the Sod Pod that we did with Mark was really good, like especially for me going to college with him. It was just interesting to kind of see that different side to him and just to have a bit of crack with him and get his views on farming and how he's getting on at home. As well as that, a similar one was the Sod Pod we did with Andrew Mackey, the once-a-day farmer over in New Zealand, which was probably one of my highlights just because, like, similar to Mark, I follow him on Instagram and it's just a completely different setup over there and he's such a genuine guy. And once we deviated off talking about rugby, we really got into how his system works over there, and hopefully someday we'll even get to go over and meet him because he's such a genuine guy. No, it was really, really, really interesting now.
Is that not booked, is it, those flights, James?
Yeah, we're sorting it there. And I'm just speaking to our financial director, David Dial, there now at the minute, saying it's essential that we go back out. We go out to New Zealand there and record an episode of the Sod Pod, you know.
Absolutely.
And it was actually great with Andrew as well, because obviously New Zealand and Ireland, there's so many similarities and so many differences, but there's so many Irish guys and lassies that have gone out there as well. And you know, he'd so many great little stories and anecdotes as well about the influence of the Irish guys coming out and everyone sharing and learning from each other, you know. So I just think that's so powerful. How I suppose global farming is often missed as well, you know.
Yeah, but I think things like that are actually they're closing the borders a little bit, because people used to have to travel to go and see things like that, you know, whereas all you need to do is log on to YouTube there now, whether you're looking at the once a day farmer or it's the millennial farmer or it's MC milking it, you know, it's very easy to see what's going on outside your own door, but it's also very easy to see what goes on in other countries around the place. And the sharing of knowledge or sharing of information is as we get into slightly more trying times in terms of farming, as regulations tighten, all that end of things, I think that sharing of knowledge is going to be massive.
And it's a sharing of problems too, really, isn't it? Because, you know, 2023, there's been a lot of positives, but equally, I suppose, look, call a spade a spade, it's been a challenging year, hasn't it, really? So, you know, off the back of prices, and let's be honest, weather didn't really do us a big pile of favours. We had one extreme to the next, just peaks to troughs. I mean, we had one bit of a drought, I suppose, that really created more problems than anything else. So I find that what you're chatting about, Ed, there, just about the different, everybody has their own favourite influencer. A lot of time they're sharing equal problems. Sometimes in the farming community, when it's your home farm, you may not feel isolated, but is this problem just, am I the only person experiencing this particular issue? So maybe sometimes that's nice in the fact that people can resonate with that and think, look, this isn't a problem. Everybody else is in the one boat. We'll get there. But I think off the back of this year, I think it's a testament to us farmers in general, like, to come off the back of it, such resilience, because look, it's out of our control in terms of the weather and that, but looking forward to a good spring.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. And I suppose we had Sean McMahon, who kindly came back onto us for one or two episodes to bring us through all the changes in regulations and compliance and what Grass and Dagger are doing to help farmers along that way. So look, there's some really, really good information in those episodes, and that can kind of help guide farmers with all those changes coming.
Yeah, Sean, he loves to get his nose back in. I suppose one of the co-founders of the Sod Pod. I know every now and again he wakes up in the middle of the night with a cold sweat on his brow, thinking, what's gone wrong since I left? I had so much organisation and planning done, you know. So maybe in season 3, we'll focus it more around Sean's ability to organise us and bring back a bit more structure. But Sean, he's a great guy.
I don't know, James. He's been kind of talking about retirement altogether from the Sod Pod now, after the amount of abuse he's after getting about this about this clay pigeon shooting. So
the clays were very safe.
There wasn't the clay harmed. In the recording of the Sod Pod.
Are you still in Clyde 9th in victory, are you?
Not really, Owen. No, to be honest, it was to be expected.
True.
You know, it wasn't one bit of a shock at all that I won the clay shooting. You know, you were a very, very close second.
Confidence is key, Owen. And James is not short of confidence.
I would also like to just say that I unfortunately was not able to attend that, but if I had, I would have came out on top.
An assassin. That's what we've heard. Lauren talks a big game. She talks a big game.
Yeah, but Lauren, we were shooting clays, not each other.
She might have wanted to do that a couple of times, though, James.
I tell you another episode I love, lads. It's actually way back episode 2. And we were welcomed up to John Brennan's house, Tirlawn Senior Business Manager. And it seems like 2 years ago now, myself, John and Davey headed up to Laois to Johnny. There was a row over purple snacks. I think John O'Loughlin had 17 of them or something. But it was actually a great episode. And John knows farming inside out. You know, a well-known guy inside in Tirlawn. And even at the time, he gave us a great talk on the veterinary regulations, the calving season and stuff like that as well. It was a great fun episode, you know, and I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. John is John is exceptional at his job and he has a wealth of information there. So that was a really informative podcast where just, you know, he had the crack as well, but he still got down to business in the end, which can be hard for the three of you to nail down.
Yes. And Lauren, you would have been, suppose, one of the first in Grassland to really strike up a relationship with John when you were repping back in the day.
Yeah, no, John Brennan would have been one of the first kind of Tier Lawn senior business managers to come on to the sustainability programme, and we did a lot of work with John, and we still are. Sophie Tyner is now after taking over that area and taking over John, and look, he's a big advocate of the programme, and he would have said that day. And look, he's a super farmer. He's extremely humble and modest, but he's doing a great job, and he's very open to changes, and he knows that the new regulations and everything that's going on at the moment, we just have to change. And look, overall, he just wanted to reduce the amount of costs that were on farm and really try and improve soil fertility and still make as much grass, and he's definitely outdone that anyhow. Yeah, absolutely.
And the one thing, there was one big win for me that day as well. John Brennan has big shoulders, probably similar to myself, but John had an in-ground trampoline put in, and I had got one done the year previous, and both myself and John dug those holes by hand. We didn't need any big diggers at all. We went out, we rolled up our sleeves, and we put in our own in-ground trampolines by hand. Hard work, lads.
And lads, just for our listeners, he actually means by hand. He's that thick.
And the trampoline is also about 1 metre by 1 metre, so.
But in fairness, lads, I think we've had some. We've had some masterful sod pods this year. We've had some great farmers. We've had some great chats. I mean, I don't know what you think yourself there. But like, there's another two standout ones for me there, and one of them I suppose is a homegrown one. I thought the sod pod that we did with our very own Matt Thompson.
Oh, yeah.
Matt is, for guys that don't know now, most people probably will. They would have heard the sod pod. But Matt is an agronomist working with us in the Wicklow area, and it was very humbling for me to hear about Matt's story about having such a love for agriculture. Not growing up, I suppose, owning a farm. To now being in a position where he's actually in a partnership rearing calves. And I thought that was a very powerful story. At the time, and even for someone like myself who doesn't own a farm either, I would have spent my life milking cows there with my uncle. It kind of gives you a little bit of motivation to get up and get going and try and get your own thing started, So I hope our listeners out there got a nice little bit from that sod pod as well.
That was a huge episode. It was episode 17, Flat to the Mat, Dairy Calf to Beef. And that gave a great bounce because that was a story that reached many a corner of the country. It was really, really good. And Matt is a bit of a legend.
Absolutely. No, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. He has some operation, in fairness to him. He's where he gets his drive from. So fair play to Matt.
No, look, Matt, he really did show such a drive and passion for agriculture. And I suppose, as with a lot of our advisors, so look, I suppose it's not always the easiest game. It does require such a level of attention to detail. It's really the difference between the business being a success or not. I suppose Matt was very, very good in painting the picture by keeping it simple, useful tactics that you can implement yourself. So one thing he talked about was the knee test. So drop your knees and see, right, does the bed knee topped up? So I just thought it was really, really inspiring, the fact he was fit to portray that passion through and keeping it simple. And yeah, it was a great episode.
And Owen, I think it's worth noting, your first outing on the Sod Pod was about episode 16, Legislation and the Kilkenny Farmer. I think we owe Owen an apology. Maybe we did not explain to Owen that when we're organising a podcast and we gather, there's normally 25 minutes of slagging and then we just hit record and we might wing it a little. But Owen, can you remember that episode? And did you enjoy it?
I do remember it. I do. It's back in August, was it?
Yep.
It was. The memory served me right. I do. So we touched on that day about the legislation. Look, I'll be honest, it was a bit of an eye-opener for me at the time. You were chatting about the register and all sorts. And to be honest, it was a complete new territory for myself, being from the north, because, as you know, it's not implemented in the north as yet. So, yeah, look, it was a bit of an eye-opener into the deep end. But, yeah, I've certainly got my head around all types of legislation since, whether through personal choice or not. But, yeah, we're getting there. But, yeah, certainly it's been a bit of a journey since that, hasn't it? But it's been a blink. Like, that's back in August, and sure, we're in the mouth of Christmas now. The year has just completely flew since that. So they say when you're having fun, time flies. So
exactly. And would you have a standout episode yourself, Owen?
A standout for me, yeah, as a touch on probably would be I really enjoyed Matt Thompson's our own. He's a great colleague, a great character, great guy to work with, and I just really enjoyed how he was able to portray the passion and enthusiasm that he drives through his own work here with Grassland, but he also then portrays that through into his passion for his own enterprise at home. And look, I suppose the dairy gaff to beef, it's not always the easiest game. It does require such a level of attention to detail. It's not a case of if you see a calf with the ears dropped or he's maybe blowing slightly. It's not a case of, right, I'll leave that to the morning or leave that to the next night. You really do have to be proactive, being diligent. Matt talked about hygiene, just in terms of something as simple as having a bucket of dip at the shed door, bedding, simple things like that. So no, I really enjoyed that episode, and I do know dairy calf to beef and that type of thing. I can resonate with it in the fact that on the home farm we do, I suppose, sell our calves at that young age, and we do deal with quite a few farmers that are in a similar enterprise. So I do know where Matt's coming from, and it is attention to detail from that regard is key. So I personally really enjoyed that episode of Matt. And great guy, great fella to work with too.
I'll tell you another one, lads. And Lauren, you took the lead on organising it for us at the time, and you were joined by Claire and Owen. But it was actually with Mark Waters of the ICBF on the National Genotyping Programme. I found that episode so, I suppose, unusually informative. You know, because, and like, we won't get into it now, Lauren, of course, right? Huge conversation about the programme itself, which was to do with, I suppose, tracking animals, where they come from. And I really enjoyed that because I suppose for me that was a big eye-opener. You know, their main aim is genotyping the national herd. You know, and that provide a huge opportunity for the dairy and the beef industry to increase its sustainability credentials as well. That was a savage listen, you know, and very informative. And I'd advise anybody get over to icbf.com and get educated on that, because there is different items there happening, you know, whether it be the EBI or the DBI, etc. It's a great little educational tool, you know.
Such an ambitious undertaking too, isn't it? Like, it's on such a scale. And Mark was really informative coming on, giving listeners a bit of a concise overview of what's involved and the benefits, because genotypes and that can sometimes be a wee bit over your head, and you know what's involved and that. So definitely worth looking into for anybody that's interested.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it was. Look, he made the complicated story simple, and it was definitely an interesting one. So fair play to Mark, and yeah, no, definitely head over to ICBF and find out a bit more information over there.
Can I throw another one into the mix there, James?
Good man.
Probably being a bit selfish now, mentioning all the ones I was in now, but I actually thought another excellent episode was the Kyle Ambridge episode. Myself, Will Keane, and then John O'Loughlin went up to meet Kyle, and I always find it great, so interesting, even when I was a rep. And I know Lauren and Owen will probably say the same thing, getting around to different farms and seeing what different guys are doing. But in the likes of Kyle's system there, where he's primarily a winter milk producer who has a massive focus on grass and clover, I thought was actually an excellent story there to have. And I know Kyle and Emma as well up there, they're running a great show, growing a massive amount of grass and producing a huge amount of milk with the system that they have up there. And I really thought his story was an excellent one. How he went away to study, I think it was physiotherapy he went away to do, and he had aspirations of playing professional rugby, but he also had this background love for farming at home, and I suppose that's where he was kind of brought in the long term. But really interesting guy, really interesting story. I actually really enjoyed that episode.
Yeah, it was episode 21, yeah.
Ed, do you listen to the Sod Pod on the ones that you're not on?
No. Sorry, no.
I know. I want to joke.
No, I Is there other episodes that I'm not on?
It's all out in the open now, isn't it?
I'm only messing. Sorry, Ed. You walked yourself.
Yeah, but
into
it's mad, lad. You've just brought up listenership, Lauren, and we look at the data, the analytics, and we're always trying to improve. Look, we're an open door. I'd often get emails and texts saying, maybe do this, maybe do that, and that's what we want to hear. We want to give the listener what they're looking for. But I thought it was really interesting when we looked at the year-end analytics. The Sod Pod is the #1 podcast to over 200 people. I found that an amazing stat, that there's over 200 people listening to us and we're their #1 podcast. So that's great, because it's all about the listener. And look, if there's no one listening, we disappear. So I just thought that was really powerful. And I went from strength to strength this year, up 173% the year previous as well. So it's great that people are tuning in, and we just want to kind of keep going, keep informing and keep educating. Look, we're in a very, very great position to be supported by Grassland Agro to allow us to do this. And a huge credit to Dunnabarra and Liam Wolf and our financial director, David. Thank God the Sod Pod doesn't cost us too much money, because if it did, there might be slight issues, But to be able to get this forum to educate people out there about our business, and then to bring on other people and about what they do as well. I just think maybe it's a time for thank yous at the end of the year, but I just, I want to thank everyone in the business for allowing us to do this, and it's a great little avenue. Thank you, the listener, too.
James, I think you're probably being a little bit modest on that end of things yourself now too. In fairness, there's a huge amount of work goes into the podcast, and it wouldn't actually happen without you. And you're I suppose you are the driving force and the voice behind the mic in terms of the Sod Pod. So fair play for all the work that you put in as well.
Oh, Edward!
Look at him; he's getting all teary-eyed.
Just wiping a tear there from my eye. That was lovely of you to say, Edward. And it's great, after I had to apologise to you on the last episode, that you come out with such nice words to say to me.
No matter, James. No matter.
But I do think, even sometimes I get a bit wacky and you give me a bit of stick. I did attempt to name one of these, one of our many winter ones. I kind of attempted to play with the whole Game of Thrones. Winter is coming, but it doesn't have to be stark. Yeah, not my best work, let's be honest. I'll take that one on the nose, And of course, we've no John O'Loughlin here. John is tied up today. He's chasing so many projects there at the moment. I think we have a great opportunity to thank John for everything he's done as well. And I hate thank yous for nothing. But John has been a great engine in Grassland Agro. And he's been involved in so many projects out there as well. And John will be back on heavy in season 3 as well. I think he's just suffering fatigue. Let's be honest. His ability to lose at all sporting competitions that we do doesn't help his ego either, So maybe we'll find something he might be handy at, maybe an egg and spoon race or something, and we'll see how he goes. But John has been a great driving force to the outfit too, and to the overall brand that is Grassland Agro.
Yeah.
Big up to Johnny, but we still don't want the banner to get out of Munster.
And you've inspired him too, James. John has subsequently opted to end a lot of teams' calls now with the phrase farm smart, farm safe. So you've done your work in that regard too. You've inspired him.
I'm shocked he's listening to the end of it. He normally loses his train of thought.
I don't think that's inspiration. I think that's brainwashing.
So, lads, when we look back over that whole season and we look forward to next season as well, look, we'll probably return the 19th of January, all going to plan. It'd be great to get season 3 back. I just want to say as well, the email box is open. james.freeman@grassland.ie. If you want to give out to us about some topics, if you want to give us some suggestions for the new season, we're more than open for it as well. Now, if I get an email from somebody saying Sean McMahon should be on more than he is, Brona, I will be deleting that. Anyone got any final thoughts?
Just for me, I want to say thanks very much to everyone that listens. Wouldn't be possible without you, and looking forward to the new year.
Wish everybody a very happy, peaceful Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy Christmas, lads.
Thank you so much, guys, and thanks to them listeners. And do me one favour over the Christmas. If you're out having a beer or walking the roads, if you bump into a friend, turn round and say it to them. Give the old Sod Pod a listen. Mind yourself out there. Farm smart, farm safe. Hey, thanks for listening to the Sod Pod. We hope you enjoyed it. To find out more, head over to www.grasslandagro.ie or check out our social channels: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn and YouTube. That's all for this episode. See you next time.